Okay, we are at our last indigenous piece for now. We're going to go back to a few others that come up later in our global interconnections unit in the, towards the end of the class. But this is called the Al-Teokapu tunic. I went on the internet to figure out how to say that. Al-Teokapu tunic. And it dates from about 1450 to about 1540 CE, and it is made out of camelid fiber and cotton. And camelid, we talked about that when we talked about remember the prehistoric piece of the camelid, the canine, that looked like the coyote? And so that is kind of where this animal derives from and what the material is made out of. So this one is very typical of Inca tunics, and we can see here what it would have looked like if you would have worn it in a drawing at least. And it was woven as one long rectangular piece of cloth with a neck slit in the middle and then folded in half, and then the sides are sewn up to the armholes. And it has warps of undyed cotton and then wefts of dyed camelid fiber spun so fine and woven so tight that they number between 98 and 108 per centimeter. That's a lot. So this fine, clumpy cloth, it's spelled Qompi, was the task of specialists, and the best cloth was used for the royal and religious functions. And these were generally made by cloistered women, or women who were taken out of the area to become specific craftsmen. They were known as aclacunas. Among the Incas, textiles of common and camelid fibers, which is basically from the animals, the llama, the vicuna, and the alpacas, they're an indication of wealth due to the amount of effort that went into their production. So remember, one form of labor taxation that we talked about was requiring the manufacture of fibers and cloth and textiles along with agricultural products that filled the Inca storehouses. And cloth was deemed a gift for the gods. So the very fine garments were, I'm sorry, were draped around statues or sometimes as burnt sacrificial offerings. That cough, it might come back. I swear I've been really sick. So hopefully that won't happen in the rest of this screencast. Okay, so getting back to the patterns and designs on the garment, they weren't just simply decorative in purpose. They're also carrying symbolic messages, which could include a person's ethnic identity and social rank. Scholars suggest that individual Teokapu may have represented specific peoples, places, or things, thus constituting like a sign system that could have been similar to their knotted cords that the Incas used to record information. Tunics with checkerboard patterns were worn by military officers and royal escorts. And then the four-part motifs may refer to the empire and the land of the four quarters. And while we don't know what it means in each and every case, patterns and colors appear to be standardized, like uniforms, in order to convey information at a glance. Probably like military uniforms today with all of their ranks and insignias. If you know what they mean, it has meanings. If you are if you were taught what they meant, you could understand it quickly. Unlike other Inca tunics, this one is almost entirely covered with small rectangular geometric units that is called the teokapu. So this makes it different than what normal or typical people wore because it varied in patterns and colors, and teokapu may have held special meaning or significance. This one here is alternating red and yellow, and it consists of diagonal bars between two dots. Let's see. Another is a miniature representation of a black and white checkerboard tunic with a red collar. Garments bearing this design would thus communicate the status of their wearer and possibly other information. We know from historical sources that only people of high rank were allowed to wear tunics decorated with teokapu, and most such tunics include only a limited number of them, clustered around the neck or waist of the garment. So the fact that this garment is completely covered with all of these information really shows the status of this particular garment specifically. No other tunic incorporates such a large number and variety of teokapu into its design, so this one was probably worn by the ruler himself. This all teokapu tunic is this basically broadcasting a message that he controlled an enormous and diverse area, and almost the totality of possible motifs is included in this clothing. So it's like information overload, basically. But and then up here you can see, I mean, weaving is such a complex thing to do. You can see the different tools that this woman is using to create a tiakapu. And so if you just look at if it's weaved, I mean, think about each individual knot and how many knots of fibers between cloth and the camelid fibers is used to create, and then the different colors, and they had to dye it, and then so just on how intricate this tunic is and why it would be considered important. So, okay, we are done with these screencasts. There were some very important ones that are going to show up on your test, so I would, encourage you to make sure that you listen to these, obviously at least once, but definitely go back and re-listen to them because a lot of them are going to come up on the test, and then obviously in the future on our exams and our final, and then your AP test. So, okay, I will be back on Tuesday. I already have the note from the doctor. He cleared me for Tuesday, so I will be back on the 17th. Yeah, that's the date, the 17th of January. And so we're going to start test corrections, and I'll have all your stuff ready, hopefully graded. Now that I have these screencasts done, I'm going to really get your guys' grades up to date within the next few days here coming up. Okay, I miss you guys, and thank you for dealing with all these screencasts. I'm not sure if you liked them or didn't like them. Um, for me, I did them because at least you get my notes and they're recorded, so if you can go back and refer to them. So I think this was a good, at least a nice temporary measure for me being gone so long. But anyway, thank you for being so patient with all of them, and for all of my mispronunciations and all of my bloopers. We could chuckle about them when I get back. All right, see you guys next week.